we live? And we are live. There's nothing like live TV here in San Jose, California, where today the fourth AUDL championship will be decided at Avaya Stadium. We welcome you to our Helter Skelter AUDL Live Game Day show. We are back at Avaya after a tremendous semifinal Saturday. Two games that were intriguing in very different ways. And at the end of the night, it was Madison and San Jose prevailing and advancing to the AUDL championship match. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what coast you're on. Evan Lepler, pleased to be joined by my inimitable group of compadres. Chuck Kindred to my left, Megan Tormey to my right. Eventually, we'll zoom out so you can see them too. They're really well dressed today. You'll enjoy seeing especially what Chuck has on. He was working on his hair for hours this morning, more like minutes, but it looks like hours. Chuck, what's your secret?
I use some stuff that comes in a body lotion cream container that Meagles gave me because I don't know how to do things well.
Well, you pulled it off, Chuck, that's for sure.
Yeah, Megan, I mean, you're always stunning, so it's not anything to watch. Can we zoom out and see the three of us, maybe, in this incredible facility that we've got? It's an amazing scene here at Avaya Stadium, and in just a few hours, less than 3 hours, we will see the San Jose Spiders in their second consecutive AUDL championship game, gunning for their second title in as many years as a franchise, against the Madison Radicals, who are back in the title game for the second time in 3 years, also in the title game in 2013, where they lost to Toronto. They fell to San Jose in the semis last year, but they have another crack at the Spiders. And you talk with folks from the Radicals, Chuck. This is a game that they've really been angling for all year long. I think they would have enjoyed getting some revenge against Toronto too, but sort of the mandate of heaven is issued to the San Jose Spiders, and it belongs to the Spiders until somebody beats them, and Madison wants the chance to do it.
Yeah, they're positioned well to do it. They're also, yesterday they were coming into a game where a lot of us, at least I thought they were the favorite to win the game. And now, now they're in the nice position to just be able to come in. They're the underdog. They're going up against this defending champ. They've got some really good defensive sets that I think are going to cause a problem for San Jose's offensive line. The question for me is, are they going to be able to convert it? Are they going to be able to punch the disc in? I'm not sure they're going to be able to score all that consistently against San Jose.
Over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll be joined by the owners of both teams and some other special guests who have played against the Spiders and the Radicals over the course of the season. I think the general perception here, at least in San Jose, is that the Spiders are a pretty solid favorite, considering that they won it all last year, considering they're at home, considering their vast array of offensive talent. Megan, the question I have for you is, what is the recipe for a Radicals victory today?
Well, they absolutely have to come out with their A game at the beginning. What they learned yesterday is what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and how to make adjustments on the field. That needs to come into play at the moment the game starts. If there's anything that the Spiders showed us yesterday in their game against the Rush, is that the moment you take your foot off the gas, they are going to stomp you. There was about 5 minutes that Rush was not playing their top game, and that's when the Spiders went on a 5-point lead that cost the Rush the game. So if the Radicals are watching, they need to understand that playing just a few minutes poorly is exactly what the Spiders need to take away the game.
And you go back to a year ago, Madison got off to a great start against San Jose in the semifinal. They had an 8-5 lead with 10 seconds to go in the first quarter. A miserable turnover on the goal line. Tyler Bacon intercepted for San Jose through a goal. It was 8-6. Spiders received to start the second quarter, made it 8-7, broke to make it 8-8, and I don't think they ever trailed again. With that said, it was 20-19 with 5 minutes left in the game, so it was close down the stretch. How would you compare the Spiders of 2015 to the Spiders of 2014 and the Radicals squad from this year to last year?
Well, I think, San Jose is pretty similar. They've got a lot of firepower. They're the juggernaut team. They've added a couple pieces, guys like Cassidy Rasmussen, but really, it's the Ashland and Bo show. They've got a lot of depth. They're very talented group. Madison, I think, has come into their own more. They're a little more talented, a little more polished. They got more firepower. A lot of their talent's young, so every year that goes by, they're going to get better. But it's hard to say that they're going to do any better against San Jose than they did last year. San Jose's loaded with talent. They're going to make adjustments. I think we might see San Jose have another slow start because they roll in here with less preparation, in my opinion, than Madison. But when it gets down to it, they've got just the premier, top-level talent. And when they, when the crosshairs are on them, they're going to get out of the way. They're going to move. They're going to make the plays. They're going to beat this zone somehow.
San Jose won it all last year without a full-time coach. Clearly, they have proven they can win without a full-time coach. Question I have for you is, how valuable is Madison's coaching staff with DeBile and Spyro?
Well, I think it's very valuable. Look, Madison's got a lot of talent, but it's not at the level of a San Jose, okay? It's just not. But Madison always is in the playoffs and regularly is challenging for a title, and that's because they're well coached, they prepare, they play well together. I mean, there's no question that the coaching staff adds a huge value that I think San Jose doesn't get from their coaching staff.
I have to agree with you, Chuck. I think that there were times yesterday that Madison realized they had made mistakes, and they're going to have to learn from those mistakes to come out and play their A game today. I really like the way you said it. Madison is not as good of a team as the Spiders, but if they play their absolute best, they have a fighting chance in this game.
How about this cool set we've got? We got the championship trophy. You were cuddling with it before, right?
Yeah, this is my girl right here.
Yeah, she's a beauty. The discs from both teams, the official championship disc. I think all this stuff is available on the AUDL online store. So, I mean, definitely check it out. The trophy is not available.
Yeah,
you got to earn
that.
that. Yeah. But the discs, the gaff tape might not be available either. That's holding up the disc right here. But everything else, the couch, also available for purchase, although not on the AUDL online store. We're just getting started. We'll break down the games from yesterday. We have some special guests set to join us as well. It's AUDL Game Day Live on the site of the AUDL Championship game in 2015. We're just getting started, so stick around. AUDL Championship, and a couple semifinals unfolded yesterday here at Avaya that we got to talk about now. The Madison Radicals in game number 1 got off to a sizzling start against the Raleigh Flyers, and it really was a combination of two things. The Madison Radicals, incredible defensive ferocity, and some carelessness from the Raleigh Flyers. When it came down to it, Raleigh made some plays late in the game yesterday to get back into it. Got within 2 late in the fourth quarter. But what were your thoughts after yesterday's game unfolded?
Well, I mean, it was a fun game. It got very heated at times towards the end, and it's the battle that you would expect to see. You see a big layout D here, and just actually there was a lot more contact than Madison's used to dealing with. And that's kind of the hallmark of that Southern Division. They're a physical group. They play a different style of ultimate. It can make for some really fun, exciting plays. But ultimately, Madison really didn't have a problem controlling tempo, keeping possession towards the end, and weathering what was a pretty exciting storm, really, from Raleigh.
Yeah, I would have to say that if you look over it, this is certainly no critique of Madison's performance in the game, but I think that Raleigh lost that game for them. And, of course, they battled back valiantly in the second half, but it really just couldn't make up for the errors that they made in the first half. And I ran into Mike Denardis yesterday evening, and he said this is just, echoing the rest of the season. We had our ups and downs, and when we came out, we were down, and there was just no coming back from that.
Who was the MVP of the game yesterday for the Madison Radicals, in your opinion?
I thought Jay Frood was really remarkably good, but probably the MVP was Tom Annan. The guy really, when they needed a play, Tom Annan was a guy who was just right on the spot, very dialed in. He was making tough throws in the wind, especially in that first half, where they needed to assert that their O-line could score in this kind of a win. It's not easy to throw in, and he was putting really nice throws deep to guys like Wiseman and Triwise and these deep streaking receivers. And if they can't hit those shots, I'm not sure they were going to be able to beat, slice and dice that man defense from Raleigh and score very consistently. Tom Annan really impressed me.
I agree with Tom Ann, and I think the game started off with some amazing Madison defense, but then it came down to the Madison offense to continue to put points up on the board for the Radicals.
So Madison advanced, and that throw from Tom Annan right there, just, I said on the broadcast, usually that extra defender is considered to be the sideline, but the defender fell asleep there because Annan just broke the mark ridiculously. And number 7 for Madison. You talked about the confidence that he just took the field with yesterday. The body language said he was going to have a good game, similar to Jeff Lindquist in Toronto in the first half.
Yeah, it's true. Tom is a guy who is real even. Really just doesn't get flustered. He's been playing for a long time at a high level. He played his college days in Madison and had great success. He moved out to Boston and has been, knocking it around with some of those really high-level Boston club players, which I'm sure is a lot of fun. But he's a guy who's been there. He played for Machine, had some big results in Chicago last year, and when you see him roll out onto the field, he looks real relaxed, and that's his, that's kind of his sweet spot as far as energy. When he's relaxed, he's having a good time, got that little, kind of like half smile on his face. You're in for a long day if you're his opponent.
Last year when the Spiders played against the Radicals, San Jose consistently put one of their top defenders on Madison's top handler, whether it was Andrew Brown or Tom N, and it was either Gibson or Kittredge who was often defending. Do you think that'll change how Annan's effectiveness could be if say, Kittredge or one of the other top defenders is on him?
Absolutely. I think from watching yesterday, Kittredge certainly doesn't look like he's 100%, so I'm not entirely sure that he will continue to perform the way we expect him to perform.
And I guess we're back. A little Charles Barkley interlude there, never hurt anybody. Megan?
As I was saying, you asked me if I thought that Annan's performance or Andrew Brown's performance would be affected if they put some of their top defenders on those two individuals, and I do think that could have an effect. However, Bo has not been looking 100%. If he's been holding back and is waiting for the championship game to come out full force, then perhaps that would be a force for Annan to reckon with. If not, they're going to put someone else big on him, and that could potentially mute his impact in this game.
Last night, I felt you guys both really sort of fell for the Toronto Rush, especially with their defensive effort in the first half. They frazzled San Jose noticeably. But when it was all said and done, 25-20, the Spiders won it, and they won it handily. What is it about this San Jose team?
I don't know. When I look at San Jose, I just look at a team that's on another level. They're pulling from a talent pool here in the Bay Area that's a little different than anywhere in the country. It's so deep. There's literally, 8 to 10 top-level club teams that are fed out of just Bay Area, talent production. So it's a little hard to get a handle on how much, how many young guys are coming up who are really complete players. We're looking at a few of them here from UC Santa Cruz, for example, and Peterson and Cohen. But San Jose just, if somebody's having a bad game, if somebody's injured, if somebody makes a couple missteps, Bo definitely was not at 100% yesterday, but it really doesn't matter. You can lean back on a guy like Ashland Joy throwing these perfect deep shots. This was a cut that really was almost a clearing cut, but it was such a good throw that Sean Hamm just runs onto it, Clapp catches it for a goal, and it can be a little bit of a head scratcher if you're an opponent and you think you lock down for example, Toronto really took care of Simon Higgins. He was a non-factor until the very end of the game, but it just didn't matter. Bo was off, Simon Higgins wasn't scoring much, and it just didn't matter.
To expand on your point and agree with you completely, talking with Tyler Grant before the game, he said one thing that San Jose has over Toronto is depth in the roster. And you think Toronto's a very deep team, and they are, but their depth is just not the same as the Spiders. And Massett Kelly was very effective at taking Bo out of the game. Remy Ojo was very effective at muting Simon's ability to get open underneath or even deep. And so then we saw great plays from Greg Cohen, who already is a fabulous player, but he really stepped it up to another level. Some fantastic layouts from Brett Peterson, who is another great player you don't talk about a lot just because players like Bo and Ashland are really taking the spotlight. but when the top players were pulled out of the team, everyone else just elevated their level of play. And on Toronto's side, they had to put players like Lindqvist and Jeff Powell and Mazzucchelli in for the whole game, and they just got tired at the end of the game. They were not executing as cleanly, whereas San Jose had enough people to put in and play hard till the very end of that game.
And Remy Ojo, a guy who was literally flying around in the first half. The gas tank was on empty by the end of the game. So the Spiders advancing over Toronto 25-20. It's San Jose and Madison coming up in just a couple hours here from Avaya Stadium. When we come back, the owner and head coach of the Madison Radicals will join us live here on the AUDL Game Day live set in San Jose.
What's all this?
My own line of products, Barkley 34.
Smells like a locker room.
Exactly. That's the round mound of pound cake.
Perfect. What's this?
The Rebounder. It's a dating app for the newly available.
Sounds promising. Can we build it?
Yes, CDW designed and installed our server infrastructure so we can respond quickly to any data demand.
Any?
Any.
I like it.
Then you're gonna love Stir Charles.
Strike up the band. Stevens Creek Toyota is ready for another all-star season. We're your home for everything Toyota in the South Bay. Experience Toyota Express service in our beautiful new facility, fast in, fast out service. We have deals to beat the band on Corolla, Sienna, and America's favorite hybrid, Prius. It's a performance you don't want to miss. Now it's Stevens Creek Toyota in San Jose. Visit us online at StevensCreekToyota.com.
The Madison Radicals trying to win a championship in what is virtually a true road game today here in San Jose against the hometown Spiders. Welcome back to our AUDL Game Day live set. Chuck Kindred, Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler, and off to my right is Tim DeBile, the owner and head coach of the Madison Radicals. Tim, congratulations on being back in another AUDL title game, your second in 3 years. Down the stretch yesterday, what's going through your mind when Raleigh gets back within 2?
Well, I think we started out really well, and so for me, I maybe got into a lull early in the game where I felt like we were going to win. And yeah, when they started getting closer, I think the pressure was on, but we've played, I think we played 51, that was our 51st game yesterday, and we play a lot of close games. We've never lost by more than 4, and we've never been down by more than 5 ever. And so, I think we're just used to close games, and so I didn't really feel that much pressure. I felt like we had the game sort of in hand. There was one moment, I think, when Justin Allen had it on the goal line and he threw that push pass, where right before that, there was maybe a little bit of doubt of do I need to make a change? Do I need to do something different here? And then he threw it away, and it was sort of like, okay, this game is now is back where we want it to be.
Maybe 15 minutes before the game started, the guy that you have told me is your best player, Brian Hart, tweaks his ankle, turns it, and you deactivate him. How did you feel the team's emotional fulcrum was at that point of the pregame? Obviously, it came out with energy. What did you say to the guys to get him past Hart's injury?
Oh, we didn't talk about it at all. We didn't blink an eye. I moved the next guy in, Ben Nelson, who I had sat, who had played almost every game this year. He came out and played in Hart's place and had a great game. He threw probably 3 or 4 goals and totally manned the D-line zone. And we don't really talk about who's there. I didn't say anything special. Nobody talked about it. We just moved on. And that's the great thing about this team was we're so deep. There's 3 guys waiting to play. The next guy comes in and plays, and there's nothing to worry about. Obviously, for me, it was more that I felt bad for Brian. Brian is so dedicated to this. He's so dedicated to Ultimate. This happened to him in college too, where the college nationals were in Madison, and he tore his ACL right away at the beginning of the first game, and so this felt like that. I mean, this is a pretty bad sprain. He may try to go today, but I looked at it this morning, and it's just his ankle is gigantic. So I mean, it's for me, it was more I felt bad for Brian.
So one thing I've noticed about you is that you're able to find and evaluate talent really well. You pick up guys like KPS and Weber, who maybe other teams pass over, but you see something in them. When you're sizing up a new player, what do you look for? How do you, for example, Weber or KPS, What did you see in them that you were like, I want to have these guys plugged into my system?
I think a lot of guys make the mistake, particularly in Ultimate, of looking too much at throws and sort of like their knowledge of the game. And I look a little bit more at how they play. Like I saw Weber came out to our first combine and he was throwing his body around, and there was never a moment in the entire combine where he got his head down or he just played consistently and hard the entire time. And guys like that you can train to play so much faster than guys who maybe already have some disc skills, but come around and you can see him screwing around. If I see a guy throw some sort of crappy scooper, that is obviously messing around, they're probably not going to make the team.
To kind of expand from what Chuck mentioned about you being able to scout talent really well, I also think you're one of the more analytical, critical minds in the AUDL right now. And so I know you were looking at that game yesterday, trying to go through it with a fine-tooth comb on what you could improve. And what were your takeaways from that game? What are you going to work to improve on today?
We got sloppy. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is that we play a very clean game. And we were playing a clean game, and we had the game sort of in hand, and then we got sloppy. We had probably 5 turnovers right on our own end zone line that we just don't normally do. So we just need to get back to playing our game. I think when the other team starts playing sloppy, it's easy for you to start to feel like, oh, a turnover doesn't hurt that much here. They're going to give us back the disc anyway. And you lose a little focus. And I think our guys got a little lost their focus when we got ahead, and that hurt us. And that's not typical of what we do. So I think we're just going to talk a little bit more about, keep staying sharp when we're near the end zone, and especially against this team, San Jose. You're not going to get the disc back a whole lot.
This will be your second opportunity to play San Jose. You got to do it in Toronto last year. I know you felt good about how you started the game, and then you kind of let it slip away. Can you be honest and tell us how many times you've watched the semifinal from last year on YouTube?
I don't know if I could honestly tell you, but I think I watched it 10 times the first week after. It was one of the more frustrating games I've ever been a part of, because there was a play that I let myself get down on at the end of the first quarter when we were up 8-5, and one of the PhD of mathematics, who's a professor, picked up the disc and basically threw it to San Jose with literally a second left, and they somehow managed to get a goal out of it. And it literally sunk the entire team, and I was a part of it. Like I don't know why I let it happen, but there was just something about I think the fact that we were so euphoric because we had come out and we were up 8-5 on what is an amazing team, and you just don't see that a whole lot. And then when someone just gives a goal to them, it just feels something felt really bad about it, and I really regretted we shouldn't have talked about it, and I think I got upset and I lost my cool a little bit, and so did everybody else, and it was a bad moment. And then they went on to get 7 breaks out of 8 or something, and but the good news is that we did come back, and I think people forget that they were up 3 or 4 on us, and then we came back, and it was 2019, and we had it on the goal line, and Bo fouled one of our guys, and the refs called it off. With 5 minutes left, I think we tied the game 2020 basically, and so I was really proud of that. And if you watch that game, we definitely were in that game the whole way.
I feel like you feel pretty confident about this year. I've heard you say this is the best Radical squad you've seen. What makes you say that specifically?
Well, I think the attitude. The first couple years we went in and we played that underdog role, and we just didn't. We had that feeling coming from club where Madison maybe hasn't had as much success as some of the other teams, that we are always the underdog, and it's an upset. But after you beat a team like Chicago 8 out of 10 times pretty well, you start to feel like, wait a second, maybe we are just better at this than we are when we play club. And so I think that just, I don't know, it just gives us confidence to play against anybody.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable. A lot of people say Raleigh's got a better ultimate scene than Madison, but I thought you guys were the favorite yesterday. I said that openly. Some people, I think, had Raleigh as the favorite, but it does feel like somehow is it the rule set? Is it just the way you guys? This unique combination of players and coaching staff. What is it that makes you guys such a solid? In my mind, an easy pick in a game like that.
I think it really is a combination of guys buying in, getting the right guys, and then having a system and just sticking with it. This is the 3rd year in this system, and we all know, what's going to happen every game. Like, it's really consistent, and I think a lot of teams are surprised by that. I think Raleigh was really surprised at the beginning of that game. I think they thought they were more athletic than us. I think they thought that they had better throwers than us, and I think, in the first quarter, I think you could kind of see in their eyes that they were like, this isn't the game we thought we were going to get. And I think that happens a lot of times. I think a lot of teams come in and don't really expect, I think even last year San Jose did that. I think they didn't really worry about our zone at all and thought, okay, zones don't really bother us. We see a lot of different zones. And then, we got 3 or 4 turns in the first few points, and, they kind of brought it together, and they moved some of their better players to the O-line, and that was a great adjustment for them. But, I just think that we do some things differently than other teams do, and that gives us an advantage right now.
Before we let you go, what are the 1 or 2 keys that you will stress to your team as the most important things to winning a championship today?
Oh, number one is just not giving up so many easy goals. Like, I watched that game yesterday, and Toronto plays some amazing man defense, but at the same time, they gave up just so many easy goals. The number of times there was just a San Jose guy out in front, and, it may seem hard to some other teams, but when you've got Ashland throwing or Cassidy, those throws are just going to work every time. Like, if you leave a guy 5 yards out in front of you on defense, that's just a goal. It's not a 50-50 ball. It's not a 90-10 ball. That's a goal. If Ashland's putting it to Bo and Bo's got 5 steps on you, that's just a goal. It's, there's no question. So you can't play them like you do a lot of other teams where you're going to try to make them huck and, they're not going to complete them. They're going to complete all their hucks. I mean, our goal is going to be make them make a lot of passes and see if they can do that. And I think they do have guys on their team that will turn it over.
Tim DeBile, head coach, owner of the Madison Radicals. Good luck today. Congrats on being in another finals, and we look forward to watching in a couple hours.
Thanks, guys. This should be a great game.
Try to stay calm out there. That's Tim DeBile, the head coach and the owner of the Madison Radicals. We'll take a quick timeout and get the other side of the coin, some San Jose Spiders perspective, when we come back to Avaya Stadium. If you want to follow the AUDL on your phone, now you can. Download the brand new AUDL app on your mobile device and get up-to-the-minute news on your favorite Pro Ultimate team. This is your new home for live scoring, up-to-date standings, game recaps, highlight videos, and more. It's the new best way to follow Ultimate at the highest level. Don't miss any of the thrilling hucks, towering skies, or monstrous layout Ds. Check out the free AUDL app today.
What's all this?
My own line of products, Barkley 34.
Smells like a locker room.
Exactly. That's the round mound of pound cake.
Perfect. What's this?
The Rebounder. It's a dating app for the newly available.
Sounds promising. Can we build it?
Yes, CDW designed and installed our server infrastructure so we can respond quickly to any data demand.
Any?
Any.
I like it.
Then you're gonna love Stir Charles.
Welcome back to Avaya Stadium, everybody, where the Radicals and Spiders are getting set for AUDL Championship Battle. 5 p.m. Eastern Time is the opening pull. It's 2 o'clock here local under the Bay Area sun in Silicon Valley. And we're joined by a man who has created an ultimate enterprise that has been unlike any other in the AUDL. 2 years in the league, back-to-back championship appearances. Andrew Zill, the owner of the San Jose Spiders. Just take us back to the beginning. You purchased the rights to San Jose. You try to put this team together. What were your initial goals when this whole thing began?
I've always loved the sport, played for a long time, and really never felt the sport got the kind of recognition it deserved. And I was always the last guy to stay at the tournament and watch the games. I love being a fan as well as a player. And, my goal from the start was, do what we need to do to get more people interested in the sport and show what a great spectator sport it is.
So you start the idea of the Spiders, and then you have to acquire players, and you've acquired the best talent in the league. How did that happen?
Well, first of all, the best talent is I didn't have to look far, and that was, that was the nice thing. That was the easy thing. I think I do get more credit than I deserve because there's so many great players right here. Now, maybe you could say we've done a great job finding the right players out of a great talent pool, which I think I can agree with that. We do look at kind of the personality of the players and whether they're going to be committed to the team in the way that we need them to for a long season like this. I mean, it's hard to find 27 guys that are going to be at the games and committed and have that high level of intensity and energy week in, week out. And I think that's what we've done a good job in finding the right guys for that.
Now, you're a guy that I know from back in the day. You're a year or two older than me. You were playing at Illinois, and I was playing at Northwestern. And I thought, wow, this guy's really good. And I remember seeing you as a player. How does being a player in the Great Lakes region translate to being an owner in Silicon Valley? Is there anything you take from your days back in the Great Lakes that you use today?
I know the players really underestimate anything I know. They would not listen. They've never seen me play. I mean, they only know me from like the pickup games, that if they've ever seen me play. And if you're a new face in an area, you're not going to get much respect. But I do know a little bit about the sport and can make some judgments on which players and actually I think not just the players themselves, but the way teams work and the way the way players kind of mesh and interact with each other, and how important that teamwork and camaraderie is, in addition to just who's a good player.
The thing that I find so interesting about the Spiders is that there doesn't seem to be like one definitive voice. I understand that Kevin Smith is the captain, coach, player on the team, but besides that, it seems like there's just this ethos that has sort of developed. Was that a part of the selection process, why you chose these players, because you thought they fit this culture that you wanted, or did it just sort of happen naturally? What exactly has developed into this Spiders ethos?
Well, I do think it happened naturally. First of all, though, I think Bo is very underestimated in his commitment and how much he is as a leader and a voice for the players. And, Bo has this endless competitive drive, and he won't let you let up, and he won't let you not play your hardest, because everybody else sees that competitive. You don't see it on the warm-ups, okay? Don't pay attention to the pajama warm-ups and he's got his own thing that he does. We don't try to, push him, because he doesn't need to be. He has his own way of doing things, and that's his way of doing it, and it works for him. But everybody knows that he wants to win, and they feel like, okay, if I don't put my hardest in, Bo's going to let me know. But also, I feel like our 2014 season, the West was not the same, and we had a lot of games where the second quarter rolled around, and we were just having fun. And I think that kind of let everybody be a leader on the team, and just kind of it created a real loose atmosphere for the guys who are with us again in 2015. We did have to rein it in a little bit, because we had a lot of tough games. We had 4 losses. Unlike last year, we had just 1, and we couldn't just be totally loose. We had to be a lot more focused. But certainly that first year when it was a lot more loose, it let everybody kind of rise up and be a leader on the team.
You talk about Bo's importance to the team from a leadership perspective. I know that Greg Cohen is another one of the real vocal guys out there. And how have you seen him develop into this guy who, I thought he was your MVP yesterday. I don't know about you.
Well, Greg is, I love this story, Greg. And Greg is, let me say this, I love every player on our team. If all the other owners in the league understand what I'm saying. You just love your guys that put so much out there for you. Greg was an interesting story, because back when I first moved out here, I was like, where are all the best players playing? Where are all the guys? I've heard so many things about the Bay Area ultimate scene, and every time I'd talk to somebody about the team, and if it was somebody from Santa Cruz, because Greg was playing at UC Santa Cruz, I'd say, have you met Greg? Have you met Greg? You should talk to Greg. And finally I meet Greg, and I immediately in 2 seconds understand why everybody loves this guy, because it's just this personality and this heart of gold. And I basically brought I had a couple contracts with me at that time as at a tournament, and ended up on that same day just saying, Greg, let's sit down and discuss. Let's discuss playing on the team as well. I think it kind of took him by surprise, but it didn't hurt that I think Simon Higgins and one of the other guys in the team were there to kind of get them excited about it too. And I think we knew right away that we had a great player. And over the course of the next 2 years, I really think it's the sport of ultimate. It's a confidence game, and I think all the tools and talent and skills were there, and it was just a matter of getting the confidence. And now he's kind of come into his own, and you get to see where he is as a player. You develop the tools and skills first, and then you get the confidence second, and now he's at the level we can expect him to be at now that he's got that confidence.
So, there's a lot of star power on your roster, obviously. Who are the guys that you think are just not scouted, that people don't know as much about? Who are guys that contribute on your team that are kind of unknowns?
Well, I don't know if he's an unknown, but Jordan Marcy is like a rock out there. He had 41 completions, no turnovers yesterday, and that's kind of par for the course for him. He doesn't need a lot of, he doesn't make the headlines, but he just is, every throw and catch is, 100%. That's his focus, is letting the players that everybody, the names that people are more familiar with, do their jobs. And we do have a lot of guys like that. I would have said Sean Hamm 6 weeks ago, but I think everybody knows about him nowadays. Who don't we know on this team, right? I mean, who doesn't get a lot of recognition? Maybe Kevin Cox, but I think, again, I feel like any name I mention would be these guys get a lot of attention across the board. I mean, maybe Sonny doesn't get enough attention. Sonny, love you, man. Again, I know I'm on the social media. I do a lot of the social media. I don't get the chance to talk to you about you enough, but I know you're always working out there hard on defense. Man, who else? I mean, I don't know. I think we've got, actually I'm wearing number 99 today. Kelly Van Arsdale, another guy that he's
How do you decide which jersey you're going to wear?
I was wearing Ashland's yesterday, but a lot of it has to do with what's clean in the morning. So don't think that it's I'm thinking that hard about it.
Are you nervous heading into the title game today?
I think I just want to enjoy this one. I am every year or every game, because there is a lot on the line every game. So yes, every game up to this point. I mean, we really wanted to be in this game. But today I'm going to let the players just do their thing. I think, for me, it's exciting to be here. I don't know if it's going to be as exciting as the last year. I mean, last year, winning the championship in our first season was pretty amazing. And I don't know if it's going to be we're going to be able to match that. So when you're already at such a high, it's not as thrilling, I think, as if it was if we had lost 3 years in a row and now, hey, this is another chance to finally get what we've been trying to do. But I know that the players, they're going to be, I think, more excited about this one than last year because they had to work so much harder in the West to just get out of the West. Whereas last year, it was a little bit easier to get out of the West, and then it was the championship weekend that was the big deal.
You think the players will let you give a pump-up speech before the game?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. There's no way I'm going to be – I don't even sit – I totally understand now why, if you look at the NFL, everybody except Mark Cuban is way up in the club seats and not anywhere near the fields. I mean, you don't want to have your boss looking over your shoulder while you're working, right? I mean, it's a weird and different kind of pressure for the players to have me sitting behind them, I think. I learned that early on last season.
We really haven't talked specifically about how you are feeling against Madison. I know Evan asked if you were nervous at all about the game, but they are gunning for you, and they might come out even more hot and ready than they were last year. What have you learned
they're gonna
from?
They're. I know. This team wants to win. I mean, desire and heart go. You need that. You can't win. You can't win without skill, but you can't win without the heart and desire. And they've lost in either the semis or the finals of the last two AUDL championships every season. They've got one of the best crowds that I know. There's at least 50 people that flew out here from Madison, which I think is a really cool thing to see. I mean, nobody was traveling in year 1 and year 2 in the AUDL, and now there's people buying airline tickets to come out to see them play. So it is something to be pretty wary of. And Raleigh found out yesterday that Madison is an underestimate. I think people underestimate how similar we are too, because we have this perception of being a team that just chucks it a lot, which I think that's probably from 2014 season, but this year both teams are a grinded out kind of team. Both teams are willing to throw 50 passes, and I think that's going to kind of might catch Madison off guard a little bit. That, hey, we can play the same style as you guys do.
Andrew Zill, owner of the San Jose Spiders, wish you the best of luck today. Thanks for joining us, and hope you can enjoy it and have some fun out there in your home city.
I'm going to try to be in the stands and watch the game a little bit more than I did yesterday.
We'll hopefully have a camera on you at some point, so don't do anything too crazy. That's Andrew Zill, the owner of the San Jose Spiders. His team is going for its second title in as many years today. We'll come back with some special guests as AUDL Game Day Live continues from Avaya Stadium.
Strike up the band. Stevens Creek Toyota is ready for another all-star season. We're your home for everything Toyota in the South Bay. Experience Toyota Express service in our beautiful new facility, fast in, fast out service. We have deals to beat the band on Corolla, Sienna, and America's favorite hybrid, Prius. It's a performance you don't want to miss. Now it's Stevens Creek Toyota in San Jose. Visit us online at StevensCreekToyota.com.
Zipcar is the world's largest car-sharing network, providing the freedom to go where you want, when you want, with the wheels you want. Just join online and receive your Zip card in the mail. Reserve a car when you need it. And tap your Zip card to get in. Keys are in the car. Gas, insurance, and 180 miles included. Return it to the same spot, lock it up, and you're all set until your next trip. Simple as that. Zipcar. Wheels when you want them.
About 2.5 hours away from the opening pull here at Avaya Stadium, the Madison Radicals and the San Jose Spiders taking center stage on AUDL Championship Weekend 2015. Welcome back to Avaya Stadium, everybody. A couple very special guests joining us for the second straight day on the Game Day show. To my left, Jimmy Mickle of the San Diego Growlers. To my right, Tyler DiGirolamo. I finally learned how to pronounce your last name, I think. I got it right?
Got it right.
Excellent. Got it right, of the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds. And before we get your thoughts, these are a couple of guys who have played against Madison and San Jose. We have a hostage crisis that we need to settle first. Yesterday, Jimmy Mickle came up to the broadcast booth. He was beaming over this Bo Kittredge bobblehead that he had acquired. It looked like it was his most prized possession, except for the fact that he left it in the booth and asked me to bring it back to him, which I did not do. I left it in the booth for him to get today. When we got to the stadium today, it was gone. Someone had taken it hostage, and that someone is sitting to my right. And Megan Tormey had a list of demands of how Jimmy could get the bobblehead back. I'll let you take it from there.
Well, step one was a haiku explaining what the bobblehead means to you. And apparently he responded on Twitter, so I will let him know what the remaining steps are.
Well, maybe he could recite it.
Can you recite the haiku for us?
Can we bring the lights down and just one spotlight right here?
No, I don't remember it. Do you remember it, Tyler? It was something about give back the bobblehead, no one gets hurt. This isn't something to joke around about.
That is not at all a haiku explaining what this bobblehead means to you. That is, I do not accept it. Step one is not complete.
I'm sure Evan can pull it off.
Are there other demands that you're going to require?
Yeah, step two is to make a new paper outfit for your Bo bobblehead.
I'll leave that one up to Tyler.
Okay, here we go. This is a haiku is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And Jimmy wrote, "This is not a joke. Give me my bobblehead back, and no one gets hurt." I mean, that's not bad.
No, I mean, that's a haiku, but it is not a haiku explaining what the bobblehead means to him. So,
I'm refusing to talk to her for the rest of this interview, so anything can go through
Chuck or
Evan.
That's fine, because what I'm getting is that bobblehead does not mean that much to you. That's
So let's talk. You guys can obviously settle this later with, diplomacy, and maybe the UN will get involved.
Probably
I don't know. Your initial thoughts on this Madison San Jose game? I mean, the Spiders, you got to play against them this year. You talked about how tough they are to guard yesterday. Do you think Madison has the chops to make life more difficult for San Jose than some of the other Western teams?
I do think that if they play their best game, they could make it interesting. But honestly, I think San Jose is a heavy favorite. I would bet on them for sure. I mean, I'm hoping to see a good game, but I think that a mediocre game by both them and San Jose wins. But I kind of think if Madison brings their A game, they'll make it interesting.
Tyler, you played against Madison this year. What's the Radicals' recipe for a victory today?
I think Madison has to get out to a fast start. I mean, we saw yesterday against the Flyers, they got out to a fast start and were able to hold on to that lead. I think if they get out to a similar type of fast start, they're a team that plays well from ahead. They can dictate pace of the game with their zone. They can slow down the San Jose offense. So I think this start is crucial for them.
How good is Madison's O-line? I think, we talk a lot about their D-line. How effective do you think they are on O? They've got a couple veterans kind of quarterback in the offense.
A lot of good players on their O-line. They're very consistent on their O-line, not going to make a ton of mistakes. They utilize the big field in the AUDL very well, spread the disc around. Like I said, if they get up, their O-line can keep punching against San Jose's defense. Very good, very consistent. I think it's going to be a good game.
But we have seen Madison go off to an early start against San Jose and still lose. Jimmy, what exactly do the Spiders do that enable them to close the gap and then take it away so effectively?
I think they have a lot of really dynamic throwers that can kind of get their team back in the game. So like the zone that Madison runs that will often
He's got his Bo bobblehead back.
Okay, that means that Brody was going through my purse.
But yeah, I think that zone that Madison runs that often slows down other teams and kind of will burn that clock while they try to hold on to their lead doesn't work as well against teams that have dynamic throwers that can put up those 60-yard hucks that beat those zones in 20 seconds and not take 3 minutes off the clock. So I think, Ashland and Cassidy and those guys are going to hit Simon deep when Peter Graffi in that Madison zone's cheating a little. So I think that those kind of aggressive shots stop Madison from just burning away that clock with an early lead. So I think that not only do they need to get off to an early lead, but I don't know, I think they need to play one of the best games they've ever played to really compete today.
Does San Jose have any weaknesses at all that you guys talked about with San Diego that Madison could possibly exploit?
I wouldn't say weaknesses. I think there are parts where they're stronger than other parts. I think, like I said yesterday, their offense is really, really strong. And I think their defensive line might not generate as many blocks as other teams, but they're definitely not by no means a cakewalk. So I think that their defensive line isn't as strong as their offensive line, I guess, but I wouldn't call it a weakness.
Tyler, what about Madison? There any weaknesses, any weaker points that when you guys played them that you really focused on trying to exploit?
I think once we figured out their zone defense, we were able to move the disc pretty effectively against that and then force them to go man. And I think their man defense is probably a little bit weaker than their zone defense. I know they've practiced it a bunch. So if San Jose can force them to go into a man defense early, I think San Jose's offense could run from there pretty easily. Offensively, like I said, they're consistent, but they could have some miscues. And then on a turn, I think San Jose's defense's O-line could take advantage of that.
How did you figure out their zone? How long did it take you? What were the things that you figured out?
Well, the first game you were there for, we didn't quite figure it out. We threw some bladey turns that they kind of poached off of and got D's on. But if we moved the disc quickly before their double team was set and worked it laterally and then attacked vertically, it was much easier to beat. Just swing the disc, make them run a lot, use that wide AUDL field, and then move it vertically when they can't recover.
Yeah, Chuck, that's pretty much exactly what you said yesterday.
Yeah, I feel very smart all of a sudden. I was just throwing darts in the dark, and I guess I hit the bullseye. But yeah, it does seem like the two-man, the double team, they don't move that quickly, and on a 53-yard field, I mean, look, I'm a big guy. When I see Matt Weber lumbering back and forth across 50-yard field, I feel pretty good about him tiring out in the short order.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it doesn't pay off right away. Maybe that first point you're just moving it laterally a bunch, but later in the game, as this game wears on, long AUDL game, it's going to pay dividends in the long run. I think get the defense tired.
Well, concurrently to the championship weekend, there's the AUDL Spirit Challenge going on, accuracy contest, distance contest, and the moving target featuring the zip line. You guys were both part of this. I honestly don't know the results, so you could fabricate whatever you'd like, but how has it gone for you? Are you guys raising money for charity?
Yeah, we are raising money for charity. We actually haven't participated yet in the official challenge. We'll be doing that, I think, at 12:30 today, so in about an hour.
You got plenty of practice.
Yeah, so yesterday we actually spent a good portion of the day practicing. We were maybe not even practicing, just kind of having fun. We were on the zip
line.
We were on the zip line quite a bit.
How did that go?
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun, yeah.
We're not sure.
Maybe 10 times in a row?
Yeah, so I think us and whoever we end up partners with are supposed to, make a catch while going down the zip line, and we're both trying to fight for being the one going down the zip line. It's a little more fun than throwing the disc. So, but yeah, we worked on the accuracy, worked on the longest throw a little down on the field. So I think we're ready to go for the challenge.
What is each of your longest throws? Will it be a backhand, a flick, or a hammer?
Definitely not the hammer, but probably the backhand. Seems a little windy down there. Backhand's always easier to throw in the wind. I'd love to throw the flick, but it doesn't seem like the best option right now.
Yeah, definitely backhand for me. I think Tyler was joking yesterday about maybe throwing a roller, but I think that's against the rules. So we'll see what he ends up picking, but I'm definitely going with the backhand.
We're going to be throwing against Brody and Mark Lloyd on one leg. I don't want to embarrass myself when they throw it further than me.
And you guys got both legs.
We do have both legs, yeah.
Tyler's 1.5, I think.
Yeah, I'm working on a little bum hand.
And there down on the field right now is Commissioner Steve Gordon getting loose. He has no idea that he's on live TV right now.
He was practicing in the hotel parking lot. He's feeling pretty good after that practice session. And there's Don Grage, I believe, owner of the DC Breeze, also looking pretty good.
That looks like pretty good form right there.
Solid throw. I want to see Steve's throw here.
Now you guys can critique his form. This is the commissioner. He's a lefty, if you didn't know. Not bad.
He's got to take less of a step forward and more of a step out. He'll get some more rotation in that core. That's for sure. But I'm not going to tell him that till after the competition. He's on Brody's team.
Brody's partner, can't give him any tips.
Yeah.
How far can you throw a hammer, by the way?
I haven't measured it. I could get it up to maybe 70. I've thrown a full field every once in a while.
You can throw it past Peter Graffey. We know that.
I can, yeah. That's a big part of breaking their zone. You have to have the over the tops.
So what are the one or two things you guys will be looking for early in the game today? You talk about Madison's good start, but more specifically, what will you be looking for from Madison to indicate that they can really play with San Jose?
I mean, I think this is with any team, but consistency. If they can not turn over the disc, there's always space on this field. If they can just continually punch to start the game, I think later on in the game that's going to just turn into a battle, back and forth. As opposed to if they get broken early, I think they might get down on themselves and kind of lose heart in the game.
Anything else, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be looking for how easily San Jose is scoring. I think if they're working down the field and Madison's getting bids on discs and making it tough and kind of 30 pass scores instead of 4 pass scores. I think that's going to be a good indicator that we're in for a good game. But if San Jose is kind of marching down with open throws and scoring quickly, I think we might be in for a less exciting game. So I'll be looking for that early.
One of the unique things about the AUDL is sometimes the D-line will get scored on, but they celebrate like they played their perfect defensive point because the offense was just better. What's that feeling like when you're a defensive player in an AUDL game? The field is so big, you did everything you could, you made them throw 35 passes, and they scored anyway. Are you feeling positive on the sidelines after that point, or is that just a facade?
No, I think you have to feel positive. I think that in this game, the offense has an advantage. So, you can't put all your emphasis as a D-line in always getting breaks, right? You have to look into other things like how hard you're making it for them. And I think that you have to take those kind of victories, and it's the same way on an O-line. Like if it takes you 40 passes and they're bidding and they're all over you and it's just frustrating and you finally score, you don't exactly walk off the field feeling great. But if you score in 3 passes, you're like, well, that's easy, I get to go rest. Whereas on offense, if you have to, work that long point, then you only get, 30 seconds off as your D-line goes and you have to go play again. So I think it's kind of discouraging depending on how long and how easy it feels.
All right, last thing, we need a score prediction from each of you guys on today's game.
The exact score or the
exact score.
Plus minus?
Exact score.
I'd go with San Jose 25, Madison 21.
I'll go a little lower scoring. I think San Jose 21, Madison 17.
You guys both say Spiders by 4.
Yeah.
Spiders by 4, yeah.
I set the line at 4.5 yesterday, so I feel like it was a pretty good over-under.
Pretty good line.
Jimmy and Tyler, appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us. Good luck in the challenge today.
Thank you very much.
Make sure you talk a lot of trash for charity's sake.
We will.
Of course, for charity.
And good luck on the zip line. We'll take one quick timeout, back for a final segment. One more special guest to bring on stage. You get another prediction from my analysts as well. The AUDL Championship Game Day Live continues. One more segment in just a moment.
What's all this?
My own line of products, Barkley 34.
Smells like a locker room.
Exactly. That's the round mound of pound cake.
Perfect. What's this?
The Rebounder. It's a dating app for the newly available.
Sounds promising. Can we build it?
Yes, CDW designed and installed our server infrastructure so we can respond quickly to any data demand.
Any?
Any.
I like it.
Then you're gonna love Stir Charles.
And we are back. A nice view of the seats at Avaya Stadium, all different shades of blue. You know, there are 5 red seats off to the right in the end zone, and they are actually binary code for Go EQ, for Go Earthquakes. There they are, the red seats. Who knew? I don't speak binary, but Chuck does, and he confirmed it. How many languages do you speak, Chuck?
I speak English and then whatever he said as well.
Brody Smith has joined us to our left. First of all, you have something to answer for. Apparently, you might have been going through someone's purse upstairs.
I was the messenger in that situation. I did not magically go through her purse. I was taught at a young age never to go through a woman's purse. So that was not me. That's all I can say.
I believe him. I don't know.
I don't believe him. I'm going to go make sure that all my lipstick is still there when this thing's over.
How many shades did you bring?
2.
His lips
I didn't bring any. If you're looking at me, I have 0 shades of lipstick.
That looks like petunia pink to me, Brody.
Brody, what were your big takeaways from the 2 games yesterday?
I mean, one, actually, I think the atmosphere, kind of going outside the game, I thought the atmosphere was amazing. The fans were getting into it. I think there's great things they can be doing when the game isn't on, whether it's halftime or in between quarters. But from the game itself, you know, I think players are starting to step up. I think you could see a little bit of a nervousness out of Raleigh yesterday with some of the miscues early on in that game. But I think today, you know, everyone's kind of loosened up, warmed up. They're used to playing in the stadium, and so I think you'll continue to see some big plays today.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've thrown around down on the field, and you're a guy who, if you were playing this weekend, you'd be expected to kind of slice and dice through a Madison zone. Like, are there any pockets on the field where it's particularly hard to throw, or is there, you know, any kind of roadmap for a thrower on how to get through this field?
Yeah, I mean, I think from, like, poles and stuff, the poles that people are trying to throw up high, the wind affects a little bit more. And so I think if you can keep the disc a little lower, you're in a better bet. So some of the higher hammers in the games yesterday, double helix versus the guys that kind of kept it low, knifed it through the wind. And I think, you know, San Jose's got throwers that can make those throws where, you know, the Flyers yesterday, there was a lot of times where I was like, oh man, that guy's wide open. If you hit that pass, you're off to the races. And it just didn't seem that they were comfortable in the wind to make those throws, where I think San Jose is going to let it rip.
You know, you've had the opportunity to play against Madison a number of times, but you also are very familiar with the players on the Spiders.
Yeah.
Would you say that the Radicals' depth is at all comparable to the Spiders' roster depth? Because that was such a key difference in yesterday's game.
I mean, I think their depth top to bottom might be close, but I think their depth in the sense of top players, I think San Jose's got that one edged out a little bit. And I think you'll see that a little bit more where, again, the Flyers weren't really attacking the zone is what you really have to do. And I think San Jose's got players downfield that they feel very confident in, that they'll put up some shots that, you know, might be a little bit more aggressive than what the Flyers did.
What individuals stood out to you yesterday that maybe you didn't know as much about on any of the 4 teams? Anybody really impressed you yesterday?
I mean, no one really jumps out because I think a lot of those games, it seemed like everyone was just kind of working together. There wasn't one guy that really had a big game, I think, total. Everyone had a couple mistakes here and there. and made some good plays. I think today you'll really see Ashland kind of step up to a new level because they're going to need his throws against this Madison zone. And so I expect him to have a big game.
Do you like how the Spiders used Ashland Joy, sort of often starting him in the horizontal stack as the initiator?
Yeah. I mean, for me especially, like, I love starting downfield and then coming back behind the disc because that puts a lot of pressure on that guy guarding you. You don't know where you're going to go. And also it changes your matchup. If Ashland starts downfield, Madison can't put one of their bigger guys that has a great mark on him because he can just burn them deep. And so I think it's going to give him a better matchup when he goes back to handle if they do end up going man.
So are there any other guys on San Jose that you think need to have a big game? I mean, we kind of know what we're going to get, right? Madison's going to come out, double team you, put the zone on. Who else needs to have a big game?
I think Simon's going to be another name. I think he's going to be downfield a lot in their zone, and he's going to be a big target for San Jose's throwers. And I think there's going to be maybe one or two big plays that he's going to have to make. And also just being in the right spot. That's the big thing with Madison's zone. You can't just be stationary downfield. You have to move around and make sure you're there for the hammer, you're there for the big round backhands. And I think Simon's going to be in those spots for them and really be able to open up those big throws.
What about on Madison's side of the fence? Anyone you think who needs to really stand out to give them a fighting chance?
I mean, San Jose's defense looked pretty strong yesterday. It seemed like they affected Toronto's game a lot, especially down the way. And so I think Brown is going to have a real smooth game. Tom, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, you thought he had the best game with Madison. I think those two guys are really going to be able to have to control the Frisbee, slow down the pace to their liking, because if you get into a fast-paced game against San Jose, there's no chance. So they're going to have to keep the disc, possess it, make easy throws, and just kind of let their defense a lot of times have time to rest so they can come back out with that zone.
Yeah, the Spiders' offense, everybody knows their names. The Spiders' defense, I mean, a guy like Brett Peterson played really well yesterday, especially, converting off a turnover. Russell Wynn, I don't know, I've ever seen him make a mistake. I mean, you talked yesterday about, has Marcelo Sanchez ever had a bad game? I'm not sure Russell Wynn has ever had a bad game.
Yeah, he flies way below the radar, but he's really a pretty complete player. He's another one of those Santa Cruz studs. I mean, there's several of them that came up through Santa Cruz: Peterson, Greg Cohen, Cassidy Rasmussen, and then Russ Wynn. He didn't even start playing, I think, until he was already in college, and then he just rose through the ranks quickly. But yeah, very complete player, great throws, and just a lot of acrobatic plays. He's a guy that I think, is below the radar, if that's even possible on a team like San Jose.
Yeah.
Brody, before we let you go, do you have a score prediction for today's affair?
24-21 San Jose.
That's very similar. I mean, Tyler DiGirolamo said 25-21.
I have to go one lower than Tyler. There you go.
Chuck, what do you got? Score prediction.
I've got Madison pulling the upset. I think San Jose's rolling in here a little too confident. I think they're going to beat them by 2, maybe 20-18.
How about that?
I think a 3-point spread. I pick Spiders over Madison, 21-18.
Interesting. Do I have to go on the record? Can I just predict the best broadcast of the year? That's really my primary focus. I'm leaning towards San Jose, but I also think that this Madison Radicals team, their biggest loss ever was by 4. As Tim DeBile said, they've never trailed by more than 5. San Jose lost by 7 this year to a team that didn't even make the playoffs. So I think the Radicals have an excellent chance from an underrated division. People like to talk about the weakness of the Midwest and how weak the bottom teams are, but Chicago is a very plucky team this year. Obviously that Pittsburgh squad, along with Jacksonville, probably the 2 best teams that didn't make it a championship weekend. Maybe you throw a Seattle in that mix as well. But it's going to be a great day of Ultimate. We're less than 2 hours away from the opening pull here at Avaya Stadium. The Madison Radicals and the San Jose Spiders battling for the AUDL title in year number 4 in 2015. So for our entire Fulcrum Media crew, for Brody Smith, for Chuck Kindred, right? Chuck Kindred, and for Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long for now. Thanks for watching AUDL Game Day Live. We'll be back with you on ESPN and TSN Go in just a couple of hours for the AUDL title. Bo Kittredge thinks his team can win. We'll find out if the Spiders will prevail or whether the Radicals will win their first AUDL title. For now, so long from San Jose.